Is it actually possible to adapt a video game into a profitable film? What about a good one? This is Movie Night. Hello and welcome to Movie Night. I'm your host, Jonathan Paula. Over the past 2 decades, nearly 30 features have been produced that were based on video games. Some were good, some were just plain terrible. But our first movie tonight is the granddaddy of them all, the original from 1993, Super Mario Bros. Starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as the title brothers, this live-action film is a disappointingly unfaithful and offbeat adaptation of the classic Nintendo platformer from where it gets its namesake. That being said, though, this film isn't all that bad. The late Dennis Hopper is featured as the primary villain, Koopa, a bipedal lizard resembling a human who has evolved from dinosaurs over the last 65 million years. His existence, including the kingdom he rules over, is thanks to a parallel dimension where his species wasn't entirely wiped out by an asteroid collision. When our protagonists, Mario and Luigi, two bumbling plumbers from Brooklyn, New York, accidentally find a portal to this dimension while looking for Luigi's recently kidnapped girlfriend, that's when things really start to get interesting. Perhaps trying to milk the franchise they're already in the process of destroying, the film desperately attempts to work in as many references to the iconic game franchise as possible, no matter how ridiculous or pointless those references may be. Toad appears as a street performer, who was then later de-evolved by the evil Koopa into a small-headed henchman this film refers to as the Goombas. Throughout Koopa Kingdom there are subtle references to the game, like a sign for bullet bills and thwomp, and Mario even dispatches the help of a miniature Bomb-Omb at the end of the movie. Mostly though, these classic Mario baddies only appear in name, and never in any capacity that would feel familiar to fans of the original game itself. In that respect, Super Mario Bros. Is almost disrespectful to its source material, and really one of the worst video game films ever made. However, if you completely disregard that poor adaptation, and focus merely on the film itself as a standalone production, it is surprisingly creative, original, and filled with some impressive visuals. And although resembling nothing like the Mushroom Kingdom from the game series, the parallel dimension portrayed here is vividly detailed and explored, a truly unique world that blends 80s counterculture with an Orwellian society of oppressive police and limited free speech. Our plumber heroes are lovable and well developed, making their bizarre exploits easier to root for. The action and special effects are pretty well executed here too, especially for a film nearly 20 years old. If you completely ignore the title, the movie isn't half bad. Sadly though, it isn't half good either. Super Mario Bros. Disappointingly unfaithful, but still enjoyable. Well, that was my review. Now let's read some of yours from the YouTube comments. Here's a Ratomatic now to show us how we both scored Super Mario Bros. A 4 and a 3. As a Mario film, this movie is patently terrible. As a sci-fi action-adventure movie though, it's actually pretty watchable. I thought it was meh. The majority of you were decidedly unimpressed with this movie, but some of you did think it was alright. Your scores averaged out to a bad. Our second video game turned movie tonight is 2001's Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Starring Angelina Jolie in the title role that made her a household name, Tomb Raider is about Lara's quest to solve an ancient mystery before some evil bad guys within the Illuminati get there first. It's a very simple archaeology adventure plot that bears incredible similarity to the Indiana Jones films, as well as the more recent National Treasure series. Although not terribly original or groundbreaking, Lara Croft Tomb Raider not only spawned a successful sequel, it also holds the distinction of being the most successful video game adaptation based on domestic box office gross. The original Sega Saturn platformer puzzle game was released in 1996, and this film does a decent enough job of staying faithful to its limited source material. Much to the fanboys' delight, Jolie's chest size also stayed relatively faithful to its almost unworldly CGI counterpart. Like all good exploration adventure films, Lara spends ample amounts of screen time globetrotting around the world, while director Simon West makes excellent use of the environments of Cambodia, Venice, and Siberia. Jolie's real-life father, Jon Voight, shows up on a limited dream-only role as Lara's father, seemingly lending a bit of credibility to a film that deals with 10-foot robots, magical sword-swinging statues, and time travel. With exposition that is hastily delivered in an almost insultingly obvious way, Tomb Raider often goes 10 or more minutes of time without any significant dialogue delivered, relying entirely on its action sequences to captivate the viewer. Luckily, most of the action in this movie is exciting, with the characters making clever use of their environments in many of the scenes. When the bad guys break into Lara's mansion early in the film, she happens to be in the middle of some trapeze-like acrobatic training, suspended from the ceiling from 2 giant bungee cords. The ensuing fight sequence that takes place, with Laura flying around the room and running up the walls and choking the intruders with these ropes, is not only original, it's also incredibly fun to watch. With plenty of gunfire and ancient statues coming to life, the film relies heavily on its visual effects in many scenes. Unfortunately, the film's use of low frame rate slow motion shots just look amateurish and ruin an otherwise impressive visual effects sequence. If you're a fan of Jolie's bosomy physique or the Indiana Jones series, this film definitely won't disappoint. Tomb Raider. Exciting adventures with a hot chick. Well, that's what I thought about this film. Now let's see what you had to say about it in the YouTube comments. Once again, the Rate-O-Matic to rank Tomb Raider. A 6 and a 7. This movie is far from being a masterpiece of cinema, but it delivers with some good popcorn action that doesn't fail to entertain. I thought it was good. Most of you agreed, praising Jolie's beauty in the title role, even though the film wasn't terribly amazing otherwise. You thought it was cool. Well, that does it for tonight's films, so now let's take a look at what's currently playing in theaters with some tweet critiques. Remember, if you're going to the movies this week, make sure to submit your Twitter review using the JPMN hashtag to have it featured on an upcoming episode. Thanks to your suggestions on Facebook and Twitter, next week we'll be taking a look at two classic disaster films, the first of which is the Academy Award winner for Best Visual Effects in 1996, Twister, starring Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. Our second film is the laughable sci-fi movie The Core from 2003, starring Aaron Eckhart and Hilary Swank. As always, I encourage you to buy, rent, or download these films, and let me know what you think about them by voting in the polls below or by leaving me a comment review. Once again, my name is Jonathan Paula. Thank you for watching Movie Night. I hope to see you right back here next Friday.